Howdy, howdy!
Bonjour!
And welcome to But It Was Aliens, the paranormal comedy podcast where we probe paranormal activity to decide for the questionable benefit of humanity whether that activity really was paranormal. My name is Mr. Kev in the John, and alongside me, with no idea what we'll be covering today, is Mr. Granville Moonwalker. Today, we are heading to San Antonio, Texas, to probe one of the scariest manifestations ever known to humankind.
Ooh. San Antonio, Texas.
Yes,
Isn't that the home of the Heartbreak Kid?
that is indeed the home of the Heartbreak Kid.
Ooh. Just a sexy boy.
Sexy boy. We begin our tale today in the late 1960s in San Antonio, Texas.
The birth of Shawn Michaels. He's just a sexy boy.
It was at least 1966, but we can't be
When
more
the
certain
first sweet chin music
was
was
landed
hit.
on the doctor who received him.
Right, I'll stop that now.
I hope at least some of our audience knows who Shawn Michaels is. And shame to those who don't. It was at least 1966. Stop gearing up the band. It was at least 1966, but we can't be more certain than this because our witness was a child and now can't quite remember when they were told this account by their friend.
Because they got super kicked. Got knocked out.
The cousin of the friend who told this story explained that the cousin, his brother, and the father of the boys, that's two brothers and a dad, went on a weekend camping outing. The plan was to do a little fishing, some man bonding around a little creek known as Elm Creek. The group pulled up in a flat area just off a dirt road, and the brothers were to unpack the truck whilst the dad found a spot for the tent. Good dadding there, folks. Make the children do the hard labour.
Hell yeah.
As they unpacked, the boys heard a rustling in the bushes nearby. The boys told their dad, and all three took up position, silently watching the weeds to see what would appear from the bushes. Next came a strange snorting type of sound as the bushes swayed, evidently under the weight of quite a large animal. Suddenly, there was a high-pitched snarl-like sound. The father had never heard any animal make this type of noise before, and so decided right then that it was time to leave and set up camp elsewhere, just in case. The group loaded back up quickly and got in the truck, and as they did, the bushes continued to shake. Whatever was in the bushes appeared to be heading towards the dirt track, the exit route for the truck. The dad told the children to get in the truck now and rammed the truck into gear. Just as the truck pulled out towards the road, something large and quick burst from the bushes and ran straight towards the front of the truck. The creature leaped up on the hood of the truck. This was no bear or moose. The family had never seen anything so ugly in all their life. This thing looked like a mixture of donkey and human. It was up on hind legs, walking like a human, but the face was elongated like a donkey, and the creature definitely had hooves. The creature punched the windshield, cracking the screen as its arms flailed. The father threw the truck into reverse and backed off. The donkey person slid off the bonnet of the car onto the floor. The dad then hammered down on the accelerator. Accelerate! As the family looked behind them, the creature was giving chase. The donkey creature was even gaining on them. As the donkey got close, dirt was spraying up behind the truck and appeared to strike the creature in the eyes, which slowed it down. The truck escaped. When the cousins saw the family, they thought this story was BS until the family showed them their still cracked windscreen and dented and scuffed hood. This was a sighting of the Donkey Lady of San Antonio.
Some good dadding going on here. Hear a strange noise. I'm assuming he doesn't have a gun on him.
I wouldn't have thought so.
So he gets the kids in the car. We're going. None of this. Let's investigate nonsense. Get in the car. We're off.
After investigating the bushes.
They didn't investigate though, did they? Well, they watched.
They watched.
They didn't head inside the bush.
He only placed the children in slight danger, not full-blown danger. Good dadding. Made the kids work hard. Good dadding. Pegged it. Good dadding.
But I suppose they only pegged it when they heard the sound.
Yeah.
Therefore,
Snarl.
you might have just thought could be a little baby deer or something. And then when they heard that noise, like, that's not a deer.
That's no deer.
Get
What the hell?
in that car. Damn it.
Yeah. Fine choice.
Donkey Lady of San Antonio. So, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you know that this is the Donkey Lady of San Antonio due to events that happen further on? Or is there something that indicated in this scene that this was a lady?
So in this scene, there was an elongated face and kind of a ladylike shape, but there's something earlier on that indicates what this creature is that we will cover.
Okay. So at this point, we are 100% sure it's a donkey lady.
Well, I don't know if I'd be so bold as to say 100%. 99.9%.
I only accept hundreds.
We're fairly certain. I haven't decided if this is a hill I want to die on yet.
Take a leap of faith.
You take a leap of faith.
Don't need to.
You do, because I'm going to lead you somewhere. Trust me, a lot of faith is going to be required.
Come along now, donkey.
Donkey? The account I've shared with you was not the first sighting of the donkey lady, and it sure as shit won't be the last. But where did the donkey lady come from, I hear you ask?
Where did the donkey lady come from?
Well, during the 1950s, there was a lady living in the San Antonio area.
What's that?
Who loved donkeys. There was. Every day, the lady would walk her donkey around Elm Creek towards some fields where her donkey could graze. The child of a powerful local gentleman just so happened to be walking this same area one day and, seeing the donkey away ahead of the lady, started hitting the donkey with a stick. The donkey did the only thing it could to protect itself. The donkey bit the child. Well, that's what the child claimed. The child then really started going to town on this donkey, and when the lady caught up, her protective instinct kicked in and the lady scared the boy off. The boy went crying to his dad.
Little shit.
The dad gathered a mob and the mob plotted their revenge. They would take the donkey. The next day, the mob waited in the bushes for the lady and the donkey to come by. As the lady approached, the mob jumped out and tried to take the rope holding the donkey from the lady. The lady resisted and a struggle ensued. In the chaos, the donkey was knocked from the path and fell down the creek into the stream below. The monkey, presumably... the monkey... the donkey? The donkey presumably drowned, for it did not bob back up. The last thing heard was a sad, sullen The men, amused at what had transpired, walked away chuckling. Suddenly, one felt a smack on their head, then another. The lady was throwing rocks at the mob. One of the rocks was so big it knocked the man it hit down to the ground. Angry now, the mob turned around and headed back towards the lady, picking her up and together throwing her down the creek to join the donkey. As the men roared with laughter watching the lady fall, they were sure they heard the lady scream on her way down, almost like the donkey. Now, I'm not entirely sure what happened down there, but next thing we know, we have a donkey lady.
Think of all the effort that went into this act because a little shit of a child went crying to their dad about something that may not have even happened.
Yeah. This child may have just seen the donkey and thought, I'm going to hit it because I'm an entitled little prick.
Yep. And then got scared off.
Effed around, found out, went and told powerful dad.
And now what has happened is the soul of the donkey and the soul of the lady have merged in their wrath. And they have become one.
Furious creature.
Donkey lady. Donkey lady of the deep.
It's like a mixture of Batman and the Crow. I don't think we've ever covered the merging of two souls before, certainly not to my recollection.
Don't think we have.
Quite a unique scenario. Both bunged over the edge, both determined for revenge.
I wonder if
More powerful together than separate.
when she's in attack mode, she's in donkey form, but she can kind of like, if she wants to talk to someone, the donkey head peels back and reveals her face.
But she can only speak in donkey. I like to think that the lady was going to try and come back, like made a deal with the devil when she was thrown over the edge to come back for revenge by herself. But the donkey was like, "Oh, I was over there, shit!" and it attached itself on. No, donkey, this is my battle. Joined. Hands replaced by hooves. She's now much less efficient than she would have been.
Imagine, in donkey form, she can speak. But when she's in human form, she can only speak donkey.
Makes no sense because the face is elongated when she's in donkey form. Hello!
I'm in. I don't know why I'm in or what I'm in for.
She's just a
I'm
sexy
in.
girl.
The original Sweet Chin music was a donkey kick.
It's said by some that Donkey Lady herself commissioned the construction of Old Applewhite Bridge after rescuing a donkey from drowning in the area. Others say that this bridge was commissioned after the drowning of Donkey Lady and Donkey on the site where the victims fell into the water. Regardless, the bridge does still stand today. What is today known as Donkey Lady Bridge? The old Applewhite Bridge is located by Loop 1604, close to the intersection between Applewhite and Jet Roads, crossing Elm Creek. People sometimes visit this bridge to spook themselves to this very day. Now, dear probers, I'm just going to show Mr. Moonwalker a photo of the bridge to answer a simple question, and we will also post this on our Instagram at But It Was Aliens. Mr. Moonwalker, do you feel that this bridge is creepy?
Today, the picture you're showing me is a very modern picture of the bridge, and I would say no.
Right.
That doesn't look creepy. At night,
Mr. Moonwalker,
that might be a bit different.
what about now? Do you feel that this bridge is creepy?
And Mr. Kev in the John has just shown me a picture at night, and yes, I can conclude that is a creepy bridge.
Now, we can't see over the edge of the bridge, but that looks like quite a fatal drop potentially.
If
Creek below.
right, I highly doubt that this bridge was commissioned after her saving a donkey from drowning. But could you imagine if the donkey she saved from drowning is the one that got thrown over the bridge by the mob? That would be awful, but it would also explain the anger and furious vengeance.
Well,
It's being reaped upon those.
the origin tale doesn't really say where she got the donkey from or whether she was wealthy enough to buy a donkey, so it may well be that she saved a donkey and that became her donkey.
She might have saved one, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That might be where she acquired the donkey.
I saved a donkey from drowning. Build me a bridge!
So no other donkeys can suffer the same fate. Lo and behold, shitty little child comes along.
I was about to say, I saved a kid from walking into the road and getting hit by a car.
It's unlike you.
Harsh. I didn't have a comeback for that.
Yes, that is unlike me. Why did I do that?
You prick. Maybe I should go back to the family and get a bridge commissioned. Go knock on their door. Hi, remember me? I want a bridge.
That child is yours now.
If I don't get my bridge, you don't get your child. Consider it a down payment.
Today, those who visit the bridge, in the best case scenario, get the feeling that they are being watched. Others hear a scream and later find hoof-shaped indentations in their vehicles. If you wait on the bridge with your vehicle headlights off, you are likely to have an experience. If you sit in your vehicle on the bridge with your headlights on and honk your horn, however, you're basically certain to be visited. A gate has been placed across the bridge today to discourage visitors and prevent vehicles from driving onto the bridge. Too many donkey lady incidents. I wonder if, to the donkey lady, the sound of a car horn sounds like a mate.
I reckon it doesn't sound like a mate. It sounds like a challenge.
Encouraging a game of donkey joust.
The sensation of feeling like you're being watched.
Mm-hmm.
Do you experience that when you go to a spooky place because you're expecting something?
Yeah, it's already in your mind.
Yeah, rather than just going somewhere and getting that feeling?
Possibly, because I don't recall ever having that feeling. But I go to quite a lot of spooky places potentially with my dog. Like when you have to walk a dog at night, you do what you got to do. So I'll often walk through all the fields and the parks around here at sort of...
Past my house.
Yeah. Well, it's usually light when I go that way, but it'll be pitch black in the evening when I walk him. And so I'm walking through like meadows and that kind of thing where if you were walking through by yourself, you might stop to think, hold on, is someone watching me? But it never enters my mind. But what you are as a dog walker is vigilant to who's around you in general, constantly looking around to see if there's anything that's going to attract your dog's attention.
Yeah, I was about to say you have a giant dog though.
Yeah.
So
if I wasn't with the dog, then perhaps I would be thinking that. So maybe it is something that you automatically think. In late 1987, an anonymous source we shall name Peg was at a friend's house, Steve's. 4 of Peg's friends, John, Lisa, Terry and Jill, turned up looking for something to do. Peg suggested as a joke that the friends visit Donkey Lady Bridge. Nobody would be stupid enough to take that serious. Well, the group of 4 agreed and immediately hopped in the car and hossed it to the bridge. 6 hours later, by then morning, John's car returned to the driveway. Only one friend, John, the most honourable, trustworthy and the deadliest warrior of the group, was in the car. Peg presumed that John had just taken the ladies home before returning, so Peg and Steve popped down to see John. Upon heading outside, Peg saw that the windscreen was all busted up and there were blood-covered dents over the front of the car. Peg knocked on the car door and window to check on John, but John just sat there with a blank expression on his face. After minutes of knocking and questioning, John finally opened up and spoke. John said, John explained that upon arriving at the bridge, John honked the horn and flashed the headlights for a good 15 minutes without response, so the group decided to leave the car and head into the woods. Walking in the woods, the group got the feeling that they were being watched. The group silenced and began spinning around before they noticed a glowing set of eyes in the distance behind them. The group panicked and ran back to the car, and as they did, they heard the scream of some kind of animal none had ever heard before. The group was scared to turn around and so ran fast as they could towards the car. When John got there, the girls were already in the car because John had obviously held back to protect the group. As John fumbled for his keys, the unmistakable sound of a horse or donkey galloping towards the vehicle could be heard. John got in the car and switched on the ignition immediately, slamming his foot down on the pedal. A figure jumped out in front of the car, accelerating flat out, and boom! The vehicle collided with the large figure. The figure hit the front of the car and rolled up and over the roof. As John darted away, the group saw the figure behind them get up and continue to give chase like the frickin' Terminator. Luckily, the vehicle was more than 1 horsepower or donkey power and got away. Upon hearing John's account, Peg and Steve grabbed a couple of flashlights, a pair of shotguns, as everyone has those laying around, and they jumped in Peg's pickup truck to head for the bridge. When they got to the bridge, the road was covered in blood as if something had been hit. Peg and Steve looked around in the woods. It was daylight now, remember, and found several tracks, including hoof tracks, heading towards the road. Peg and Steve didn't find the donkey lady though. John, Lisa, Terry and Jill refused to ever return to the bridge.
That's a set of unfortunate events.
A series, one may say.
I don't understand when people suggest something to do, but they suggest something that they're sure no one's gonna do.
That sounds like a bad idea.
Like, why suggest it in the first place?
Absolutely. If you're going to throw something out there, that better be something you're happy to do.
You're prepared to do that.
Mm-hmm. To be honest, if that's the only thing you've got a problem with throughout this story so far, I'm pretty happy.
I don't understand why John went back to Peg and Steve's after dropping everyone else off home.
Wasn't thinking straight.
So Lisa, Terry and Jill, did he take them home one by one? Did he take them all back to one place?
Who knows?
And if they all went back to one place, why didn't they all stay there?
We don't know.
Because
mystery.
I can tell you for a fact, if that shit happened to me, I am not driving anywhere on my own for the rest of that night.
If that happened to me, I'm gone whilst they're all in the woods. I'm taking the car and I'm gone. I'll see you there, Leo.
Also, I love the fact that the girls got to the car before John did.
Oh, yeah.
Also, who gets out of their car and doesn't lock it? Because how did they get into the car before him?
He left it unlocked.
Which is a stupid thing to do.
It's the 80s. People were relaxed about things in the 80s. And this is an isolated area in the dead of night.
Where a donkey can get in your car.
It's not like they're going to be able to start the car without the key.
Probably a lot easier to back then. It's the 80s. It's not like today.
No one knew how to hotwire. During 1989, a group of nearly anonymous friends, one whom was 13 years old and the cousin of the older driver called Todd, were driving in a 1973 Impala. As Todd's cousin had just turned 13, The group were inducting Todd's cousin into the local legend. The group headed for Donkey Lady Bridge. The moon was almost full, and after turning the headlights off upon their arrival at the bridge, visibility was poor. The group told the Todd to drive slowly across the bridge, telling the 13-year-old a sighting was all but guaranteed, but nobody really believed that. As Todd made his way across the bridge, a dark figure suddenly popped up in front of the car. Todd stopped the vehicle. Todd then honked the horn and began edging slowly forward. Todd, it turns out, was a badass. The figure vanished. Todd stopped the car again to discuss what the group should do next when suddenly, boom! Something had landed on the roof of the vehicle. Todd slammed the vehicle into reverse and floored it. A figure rolled off the vehicle over the rear windscreen to the floor, and Todd never looked back, driving that Impala all the way back to town. The car hood was left with a couple of huge dents, and nobody could explain where the figure had come from to drop onto the roof. Nobody chipped in for the repairs either. Most of the group was 17 at the time and remain scared to venture towards Donkey Lady Bridge to this day. These kids don't learn.
I call bullshit
On
this story.
why?
This version of, well, not this version of events.
This particular
This
sighting.
particular sighting. And the reason I call bullshit is because if Todd slammed the vehicle into reverse, there is no way that the creature, whatever, would roll over the rear windscreen. It would go forward. So it would roll over the front windscreen and over the bonnet of the car.
But what if it fell from a height and was at an angle, so it rolled backwards before the momentum of the vehicle hit, because the vehicle might have been going slowly in reverse?
No.
You can't just say no. You weren't there.
That's not how physics work.
That is how physics work.
It's not.
You need to be going at a certain velocity to impact.
It landed on the top of the car and then he slammed it in reverse.
Yeah, but this was the 80s. How quick can things that are slammed really go?
It's a Chevy Impala. In
Yeah.
the 80s.
It's a 1973
Quickly.
Impala, so it's technically the 70s.
67 Shelby GT 500 goes pretty rapid.
How rapid
Rapid.
does it?
Yep.
Doesn't it take like 15 seconds to do 0-60?
Not even
They're
close
like
to that.
Cars back then were 4 litres and they still take that long to get going.
Why don't you give up your left nut? I'll get one and then I'll show you how fast it is.
No deal. I am busy that day. The origin story I gave you earlier is but one of several origins, which tend to get mixed together, as you may expect when something dates back somewhere from the 1950s to the 1800s. The origin I've given you is one of two mainly told, with the other origin being somewhat similar but with a possibly even more gruesome ending. In this account, during the 1800s, the child of an important townsperson again started teasing a lady's donkey before hitting the donkey with a stick. The donkey defended itself and did all it could, biting the child. The child started going to town on the donkey with the stick. The donkey wailed, and the lady came running from their nearby house to the donkey. The lady came to the donkey's defense by throwing rocks at the donkey's assailant, not realizing who the child was. The boy swore revenge. Later, in the cover of night, the child returned with their father alongside an angry mob. The mob, heavily armed, set fire to the donkey lady's cabin, which also housed her husband and 2 children. The mob threatened death on anyone who tried to leave the flaming cabin. The father tried to make a run for it and was viciously gunned down. The screaming of the mother and children quietened. Just as the mob thought their work was done, a flaming figure burst from the cabin through one of the windows. The lady was smouldering. Her hands and feet smouldered down into clumps or nubs, almost like hoofs. The lady's face had melted and sagged as to elongate the face. The lady's skin was charred black, yet somehow still alight. The lady let out an ear-piercing wail and staggered away from the mob over the creek and into the water. A body was never recovered. In another version of the tale, there was no angry mob, but the husband and father in the family had started the fire to the family home, murdering the children and leaving the wife horribly disfigured. Regardless of origin, Donkey Lady now roams in search of revenge. So you can see why I went with the other story.
Yeah. Quite vicious, those ones. Horribly, the second one
feels
is the one that I would feel is more
likely
real. Yeah. Although I don't understand like parents or like an angry mob doing this because a child got told off. But at the same time, feels almost like you could tell a child off if they weren't your child back then, if they were doing something they shouldn't be.
Everyone disciplines
then,
children.
At the same time, it depends if those families had any grievances with each other. But again, it sounds so excessive to do what they done because they told a kid off. Yet the sound of that ear-piercing wail from like the pain of the fire and everything like that sounds more likely to give the name Donkey Lady.
Could have sounded like a donkey, yeah.
Very harsh.
Today, the Donkey Lady lives on. While she hasn't been seen for a few years, from midnight on the 31st of October until the 6th of November annually, people can call the Donkey Hotline to hear the Donkey Lady. The 45-second message changes each night, as reported by Maricela Barrera, who has had direct contact with the Donkey Lady. Maricela has stated that the Donkey Lady loves San Antonio and just wants to share her presence, vision, and the Donkey Lady's observations with the community. Locals have said that sometimes they'd call the hotline and hear creepy sounds, but sometimes they'd be shocked cold as the Donkey Lady would pick up. Otherwise, they'd hear a pre-recorded message. Hopefully, this isn't like seeing the video in Ringu, The Ring.
This is just fuck off. What's happened here is someone's gone, do you know what? Let's do something for the town, or I want to be the one that's done this. So they've just got a phone number and gone, right, this is the hotline. So every now and again, they will actually be home or they'll be free and they'll just answer the phone and everyone's like, fuck.
She's like, hello? Forget
shit, it's the Donkey Lady. She's like, oh, shit. Everyone screams on the other end of the phone. Fuck! She's gonna get me!
What if it is the real Donkey Lady? She's just gone modern. Moved with the times.
Gotta keep my story up.
She's now involved in e-commerce.
She'll have her own Bitcoin.
Typing's a bit difficult for her, but
Have a donkey coin.
facial recognition is a real bastard. Looking to other explanations for these occurrences. The first is that this could be misinterpreted sightings of actual donkeys, horses, local humans, coyotes, deer, hogs, and even bears. Donkeys are very territorial. I guess you could also wonder if it's possible that this is a local boogeyman, a tale passed down in an area either to scare people into behaving, for example, don't go out alone chasing mischief at night or the boogeyman will get you, or a tale told just for fun, a la ghost stories around a campfire, that local kids believe at a certain age and then scare each other when all together thinking that they've seen the boogie. These sorts of tales go round at schools, and everyone has a cousin or friend of a friend who's had an experience. Admittedly, evidence is pretty thin for these sightings, but who could come up with a story so wild? Isn't that, in itself, credibility? Admittedly, one of our sources for this episode was Creepypasta, which is a website for horror short stories, but that is beside the point. The point is Donkey Lady. Freaking-awe, probers.
You've included a really shitty CGI picture of Donkey Lady there.
She put it in herself, I'll have you know. She was typing away. That's the best she could create. It's hard to use Photoshop when you've got hooves. I feel like I've blown your mind.
I've got a question, but...
We're about to summarise. Is it worth firing the question?
No.
In summary, we've covered the tale of the Donkey Lady. In the 1800s or 1950s, a lady's donkey was hit by a child, bit the child, was attacked, and the donkey and lady both died, fusing into one undead beast. Or the lady's husband killed Donkey Lady, her donkey and children in a fire, and the fire burned the lady into resembling a donkey through her disfigurements. Or a mob set the fire. Either way, the Donkey Lady now roams Donkey Lady Bridge in San Antonio, disfigured and seeking revenge. We covered sightings, including a father and his two boys being charged at when trying to camp, a 1987 group whereby honourable and trustworthy John pegged it after being chased by hooves, basically carrying out a hit and run. And we covered another group of friends driven by the Todd to the bridge in 1989, whereby this group also carried out a bit of a hit and run. We don't really know if the Donkey Lady was a real person from the 1950s tormenting those in the area, or whether the Donkey Lady is more of a spirit haunting the area since the 1800s. What we do know is that people have spoken to Donkey Lady on the telephone. Is the Donkey Lady real, misinterpreted animals, or a local boogeyman? Does Mr. Moonwalker, fully qualified MIB, have any thoughts before we conclude?
No.
Are you saying that it was Donkey?
That's a great picture.
Donkey?
Kind of.
What? No, I'm joking. Explain yourself.
Was there a Donkey Lady? I believe there was.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I don't believe in the way that it's been portrayed.
Yeah, it's inspired
No.
local legends, is what you're saying.
It's almost like it could have just been a woman that rescued donkeys and looked after them. So instead of people calling her by her name, she was just referred to as Donkey Lady.
Yeah, sort of a no smoke without fire scenario.
It might have been one of those people. It sounds really harsh. So it might have been someone that kept themselves away from
Yeah.
civilization, didn't really mingle with many. So parents used her as a means of keeping their kids in line. Like, if you don't behave, Donkey Lady's gonna get you, or stuff like that. And then as those kids turned into teenagers, what Donkey Lady did got worse and worse. So it grew from that. Because I remember, and I really can't remember their name, but when I was in primary school, there was a thing going around primary school that if you went down a certain road, this certain person was going to get you. And they were going to, like, take you in their house and you wouldn't be able to get out. And I can't remember the name of that person. But they lived near where near our high school.
Mm-hmm.
But for the life of me, the name, I can't remember the name.
That's fine.
But I think it's just like that, where a name has got out of hand and a reputation has been grown from the name. So is Donkey Lady real? Yes. Is Donkey Lady real in the terms of the story that you have outlined for me? No.
Okay. So you're saying that's real. Excellent.
I am.
Yeah. For me, this story has been around in Texas for decades, so I don't think it's made up for the internet per se, similar to yourself. But I do think that it's a local legend. There's no evidence behind any of the sightings, and it's just a bit of a good time ghost story kind of tale, albeit with horrible origins. Yeah, not donkey for me in terms of the ghost kind of sighting element to it, but good fun. Could it have been inspired by a local many years ago? I mean, it's been around for such a long time, this tower, that I suppose it could have, yeah. All right. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye, Mr. Moonwalker? You said you were going to ask a question. Is it irrelevant now, or...?
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
Okay. Then that is a wrap for today. Thank you for listening to But It Was Aliens. If you want more, you can have more, damn it! For the grand old small price of a cup of coffee, you can sign up to become a patron of the show over at patreon.com/But It Was Aliens. There, each month, we release bonus episodes we call Side Probes, where we probe paranormal mysteries, conspiracies, and loosely connected historical events, just like what we do on the main show, but without the aliens. If you have any suggestions of cases for us to cover, you can share episode suggestions with us on the X-Twitter at But It Was Aliens.
On the Twitter.
You could also say hello on Facebook, where connected to But It Was Aliens is a secretly public private group called Extraterrestrial Towers. Being a member of Extraterrestrial Towers does grant you protection from the aliens when they invade. Some people say that this is a scam, but those people are just jealous because they didn't pay us their life savings to learn the secret of immortality, which you still can do. Admittedly, not everyone, or in fact anyone, will be given that secret, but all you have to do is sign up, and you could but also won't be immortal. That is it for this episode, so until next time, a donkey can produce offspring with both horses and zebra, and the male offspring of a horse and donkey is called the John Mule. Is the John Mule the most honourable and trustworthy species of all the animal kingdom? The truth is up there. Hashtag proud.